Hello, year 3 and 4. Today in maths we're going to be looking at turns and angles. We're moving on to our properties of shape unit. So here we go. So the questions we're going to get today are looking at turning, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. The question here says starting at east, so that means that we need to be facing east from the middle point here. So if I just draw an arrow to show where we need to be starting, and it's asking us to turn 3/4 clockwise. Which direction are you now facing? So we can see that we're facing east. Now if we turn clockwise, clockwise is the direction the clock moves in, so that is clockwise. If we're going in the opposite direction of the clock, it's described as being anti-clockwise. So we need to turn clockwise. So if we turn just 1/4, 3/4 as a fraction looks like this. If we just turn 1/4 from east, we should, or we will, be facing south. So that's described as a quarter turn clockwise. We want to go 3/4, starting from the east. So 1/4 is south. If we turn 2/4, which is the same as a half, clockwise, we'll be facing west. And then 3/4 we'll be facing north. Be really careful with the questions that you get, that you know that clockwise is the same direction as a clock, and anti-clockwise is the opposite direction of the clock. Question 2 says, what turn does the spinner need to make to get from the dragonfly, which we're on now, to the spider? And there are two answers for this. Now you remember from the last slide that we can either move anti-clockwise or we can move clockwise. Let's go clockwise for the minute. To get from the dragonfly all the way round to the spider, we'll have to move, if we're going in a clockwise direction, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So 3/4 clockwise. I'm just going to put CW for clockwise. So that's one way of doing it, all the way around the side there. The other way is going anti-clockwise. If we're starting on the dragonfly and we do a quarter turn anti-clockwise, we will end up at the spider. So just be really, really careful and aware that you know what anti-clockwise is and clockwise. Some questions might have a clock. I know we haven't covered time yet, but it's the same principle as the questions that we just looked at before. And the question here says, if the hour hand is turned a quarter turn, what time will it be? Okay, we're looking for the hour hand. The long one, this one here is the minute hand, and this is the hour hand. This is the one we want to be looking at. Now at the minute, the hour hand is pointing at the 9. And it's saying if the hour hand turns a quarter turn, it hasn't been specific. It hasn't said a quarter turn clockwise or a quarter turn anti-clockwise. So there's going to be two answers to this question. If you turn the hour hand a quarter turn clockwise, the hour hand will be facing the 12. Well, if we turn it a quarter turn anti-clockwise, the hour hand is actually going to be facing the 6. Okay, again, be really careful when you read these questions. Make sure it's being really specific. Okay, if it hasn't said anti-clockwise or clockwise, it's going to ask you for two separate answers. Some of the questions you might get might ask you to sort images into the table. Now, with angles, an angle is where two lines will meet and are joined together. Okay, so for example, if you look at the first shape here, we can see this line and this line meet together to create an angle. On the second shape, we can see we've got three separate lines here. These two lines here have met, so they create an angle. And these two lines here have also met, which also creates an angle. However, you can see there's a big gap here. Now, because these lines haven't met, it is not an angle. So this shape has two different angles. On the third shape, we can see the two lines have met to create an angle here. And on the last shape, we can see the shape consists of a number of angles, and these are called right angles. So the angles are at 90 degrees. We've got one there, one there, one there. So lots of angles in that shape. And it's asking us to put the images into the table. All lines make angles. Not all lines make angles. Well, the first one, we can clearly see this shape here. All these lines are joined together to create a shape. And because those lines are joined together, it has created angles, all the lines.